All right. Let's talk about a feeling that I bet a lot of us have had, but maybe we couldn't quite put our finger on.
You know the moment I'm talking about, right? You're petting your dog with one hand, maybe eating a hamburger with the other, and you get this kind of weird feeling. It's this quiet little conflict in the back of your head. Well, today, we're going to unpack exactly what that is. Turns out that feeling actually has a name, and psychologists call it the meat paradox. It's pretty simple, really. On one hand, most of us genuinely like animals. We don't want to see them get hurt. But on the other hand, a lot of us also enjoy eating meat. So this research we're looking at today, from Lofgren, Haslam, and Bastian, it dives right into that gap. How our brains manage to hold both of those ideas at the same time.
Now, I want to be super clear about something up front. This is not a lecture. We're not here to tell you what you should or shouldn't eat. Not at all. We're here to explore the incredible, and honestly, often invisible, mental gymnastics our brains perform every single day. It's fascinating stuff.
So how does this whole paradox actually play out inside our heads? Well, it all kicks off with what you could call a tale of two beliefs.
Okay, so on one side, you've got our belief. Harming animals is wrong. Most of us would agree with that. And on the other side, you've got our behavior, eating a bacon sandwich. And, well, we know where bacon comes from. When a belief and a behavior just don't line up like this, it creates this kind of mental static.
And yep, you guessed it. That mental static has a name too. It's called cognitive dissonance. And seriously, this is one of the most powerful and fundamental ideas in all of psychology.
Basically, our brains hate feeling that contradiction. It's uncomfortable, it's unsettling, and according to Leon Festinger's original theory, when we feel this dissonance, we become super motivated to make it go away, to somehow resolve that conflict.
So our brain's got a problem it needs to solve, and the way it does it is kind of genius, actually. It's a clever, subconscious trick we could call mind denial.
I mean, think about it, right? To solve this uncomfortable feeling, we have a few options. We could change our behavior, stop eating meat. Or we could change our belief. But what does changing our belief even look like in this case? The answer is really, really subtle.
And here it is, the absolute core idea of this paper. To get rid of that uncomfortable feeling, we subconsciously tweak our beliefs. We start telling ourselves, without even realizing it, that the animals we eat, they just don't have minds that are worth worrying about. That they can't really feel pain or fear or happiness in the same way a pet can, or we can. And this isn't just some wild guess. It's a known psychological process. It turns out our perception of whether something else has a mind is incredibly flexible. We can dial it up or dial it down based on what we need in the moment. And when we need to eat an animal and not feel terrible about it, well, we dial that mind perception way, way down.
Okay, I know, that's a huge claim to make. So how do we actually know it's true? Well, this is where it gets really cool. The researchers set up a series of brilliant experiments, and we can think of their evidence as coming in 3 acts.
Okay, Act 1, or Exhibit A. First, they just wanted to see if there was a basic connection, a correlation, between how edible we think an animal is and how much of a mind we believe it has. And wow, the results were crystal clear. This scatter plot right from the study shows this really strong negative correlation. Basically, the more edible people rated an animal, the less of a mind they thought it had. They saw it as having less capacity for stuff like fear, pain, or even making plans. All right, so there's a connection. But is this a motivated thing, like a defensive reaction? For their next study, the researchers decided to really make people think directly about where their meat comes from. And this just shows it perfectly. When people were just shown a picture of a cow in a field, they gave it a certain mind rating. But when another group was reminded that this specific animal was going to be, butchered and sold as meat, boom, their rating of its mind dropped a lot. That reminder triggered the dissonance, and their brains just kicked into mind denial mode to fix it.
This brings us to Exhibit C, the final and, honestly, the most direct test of them all. This time, the researchers wanted to see if the actual expectation of eating meat, like you're about to do it right now, would trigger this whole mind denial thing in real time. And the way they set this up is just so clever. Okay, so first, everybody rates an animal's mind. Then, everybody gets a little reminder about the origins of meat. But here's the crucial part, what they think is going to happen next. One group is told they're about to sample some of that meat. The other group, they're told they're about to sample an apple. Then, they all have to rate the animal's mind a second time. And check out these results.
The group that was expecting to eat an apple, their rating of the animal's mind barely changed at all. But the group that thought they were about to eat meat, they significantly downgraded their perception of the animal's mind between that first and second rating. The impending action literally forced them to change their belief to match.
So, the mental trick actually worked. The more a person denied the animal had a mind, the less guilt or discomfort they reported feeling. It successfully zapped that dissonance, paving the way for what the paper calls effective and unconflicted action, which is just a fancy way of saying eating the meat.
Okay, so this is all really fascinating when we're talking about our dinner plates, but the implications of this go so much bigger. What does this tell us about the fundamental way our minds operate?
Well, for one, it shows that our perception of something as basic as another being's mind isn't set in stone. It's flexible, it's malleable, and it serves our goals. Second, it really highlights how it's often way easier to just change our beliefs to justify our actions instead of the other way around. It's a process that protects our cherished habits and cultural practices from getting tangled up in moral conflict. This is cognitive dissonance out in the real world.
And that leaves us with one last big, provocative question. We've seen how this plays out with food, but this mental mechanism, this trick of changing how we see the world just to feel better about what we're doing, it's universal. So it makes you wonder, where else in our lives might this be quietly, invisibly at work?